Hey everybody, and welcome to Scrollers Chat, Season 1, Episode, I think it's 14. Anyway, tonight is Monday, which means it's time for Scrollers Chat. On the panel tonight, I have Rick Hutchinson, Carl Taylor, Lawrence Leedy, Donna Presley, and Mr. Charles Daring. Mr. Charles Daring is our interviewer person tonight, the person we're going to interview. I guess he's the interviewee.
Yeah. Not the E.
That's the word. Interviewee. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be talking to Charles. And
thank you for having me.
Yes. But everybody can introduce themselves one at a time, starting with Mr. Charles Daring.
Hi, I'm Charles Daring, woodenvisions.com by the Harnell Media Group, or Harnell Media. I have quite a few patterns thrown up there. I think we're creeping up on 1,500, if not a little over. I say we, but I have help doing the site. But anyway, Harnell Media. On Facebook, I'm most active as far as social media, and I go by the Charles Daring on there, wearing this hat and a gray shirt. Scroll low. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Charles. Moving down to Miss Donna Presley.
Hey everyone, Donna Presley, donnaswoodenart.com. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube. I really don't get on the other stuff that much. There's just not enough time in the day. Thanks for having me, Lee.
Thank you, Donna. All right, Florence.
Okay, Florence Leedy, Jamestown, Tennessee. Learning to design, and I do scrolling also. You find me on Facebook. I am attempting to try to figure out how to get a website.
Thanks for reminding me. We'll work on that. I meant to talk to you about that, and I got sidetracked. So,
or go to harnellmedia.com.
Or that.
The ones that design.
Okay,
I think she froze.
What were you saying, Florence?
They designed yours, didn't they?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They specialize on makers. Sorry, I don't want to didn't mean to take over, Lee. Sorry to have it.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, moving on to Carl.
Hey, thanks for having me tonight, Lee. You can find me on Scrollers Chat and other places. I have a Facebook page, Scrollers on YouTube, and my YouTube channel is Woodworking and DIY Videos with an S. Back to you, my friend.
Thank you, Carl. And Rick Hutchinson.
Yeah, Rick Hutchinson. Scrollsaws.com is my website, and on YouTube under Rick Hutchinson, and then under that there's a tab to another YouTube channel I had. And Facebook, I'm under Rick Hutchinson.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Okay, Charles, you wanted to do it now, or you want to wait? Because I got a couple of things.
I'm not totally sure what we're doing, but anything you want to ask me, I'll answer.
All right, how about we do it after I do the plug for my Scroll Saw show?
Plug it.
All right. If you guys aren't already aware, we're going to have a Scroll Saw picnic next year in Ohio, up in Cuyahoga Falls. It's going to be May 18th and 19th. I want to show you guys the club website. Everyone is aware of the information.
And I would like to point out that there are no clicks. He has batteries in his mouse.
Yeah, not tonight. I got batteries tonight.
Yay. Sorry.
All right. So our club website is neosclub, one word, .wixsite.com/home. And then you guys can scroll down here and you can see it's got the Northeastern Ohio Scroll Saw and Woodworking Expo. Friday, May 18th, 9 a.m. to 4:30. Saturday, May 19th, 9 a.m. to 4:30. And it's at the Cultural Center in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, 44 223. The information over here under suggested lodging. This is an RV campground, probably 15 to 20 minutes away from the show. This is the closest campground that I found for the show for RVs. We can't have an RV actually at the place where we have a show. We found that out the last time we did the show. So this is the closest RV place. Under that, this is the Country Inn and Suites, which is about 5-6 minutes down the road. This is the closest hotel, and then this one's probably 12 minutes down the road. This hotel here is actually a pretty nice hotel. We actually almost had the show at this hotel, so you can see it has a conference center, which is why we were considering it. But let's see, I'll show you guys some pictures.
Sterling,
but I actually
real quickly, Sterling Davis is wanting to know. I know this is kind of off topic. He's wanting to know what Florence Leedy's Facebook page is. I would imagine it's Florence Leedy, Leedy.
Yeah, it's Florence Leedy, just like it's spelled. LLDDY. This is the Country Inn and Suites. And it's down the road. And then this other one is the Norwood Suites, which is about 12 minutes down the road. Right here we've got the vendor registration. And then under here we've got the scroller registration. Under this form, it has all of the seminars listed. As you can see, it's got Bruce Worthington doing a Intarsia class. We've got a biography class. We've got Jessica Boehm doing a scroll saw basics class. Murray Newton is doing a box making class from the scroll saw. Again, Jessica is doing one for using your iPad or iPhone for designing patterns. Holly Denny is doing a pen making class. And then these on Saturday are pretty much exactly identical to the ones on Sunday. Or, sorry, Friday. And then dinner will be Friday night. And then the rest of this information is for the scroll saw contest. And then my information to mail it back to me is down here at the bottom. And that pretty much covers that. All right. Now I gotta find them screen. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much gives you guys the information for the club picnic, so you guys can take a look at that. That classes that are on there are pretty much the classes we're going to have, so it's not going to change much. But we are still working on dinner, figuring that out. I'm waiting for a call back tomorrow from the place that we're looking at doing dinner with. So once I hear back from them, I'll know for sure how much dinner is going to be, and we'll fix that part of the page.
Joseph Poindexter wants to know if you have to have a table to enter something in the scroll saw contest.
A table?
In other words, I mean, do they supply the tables, or does he have to bring his own?
What is he needing a table for?
For entering something in the scroll saw contest. I assume there's a contest at the show you're talking about. Unless...
Yeah. If you're just bringing something, Joe, if you're just bringing something to enter into the contest, we have tables set aside for that. If you're bringing something that you don't want to put in the contest, but you want to just show off, we'll probably have some brag tables, kind of like they did in Iowa. We'll just make those ones brag tables, and then there's one that'll be for the judging for the scroll saw contest. I think that answers his question, but if he needs... Does that answer it? Because I can't see what he's asking.
I'm pretty sure it answers it, but I'll let you know if he says otherwise.
Okay. I don't see anything over there. I'm just taking a look myself. All right. Joe, if that doesn't answer your question, get in touch with me and I can help you out. But like I said, yeah, we'll have a contest table set aside. There'll be we don't have all the fancy rows, different shelves like they had in Iowa, but we'll just usually just put it on a table. And then we'll have, sectioned off, entire shelf, whatever. So there will be a table set aside for the contest, and probably brag tables as well. So I hope that answers this question. All right. You ready, Charles?
Yes, I think so. Just don't let
All
Rick
right.
ask me anything. 'Cause he's mean. I'm just kidding.
It is now time for Ask Charles.
You all can ask
All
me
right.
anything. I will answer it 100% honestly.
Most, all right?
Oh, Joseph saying, not to jump back, Joseph says, shows that I've been to previously, you had to pay a table fee and have a table at the show to enter something into whatever contest they had. So you did answer his question.
Okay, yeah, no, we don't have to actually have a table. If you to enter into the contest. So
All right, there.
I know there's some shows that are like woodworking shows and stuff that do that, but no, we don't have that.
I got a question for Charles.
All right,
Go ahead.
Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb?
Dr. Pepper, baby. I haven't seen Mr. Pibb in years, but I don't dislike it. Boxes or briefs, I refuse to answer. Next question. There's just some things you don't want to know, folks. Who's my favorite scroll saw YouTuber? First would probably be Charles Deering, and then I'm going to go with Sterling Davis. That's what Sterling Davis asked.
Thanks.
Shit, boy. I almost
You forgot Donna's Wooden Arts.
I was trying to do self-promotion, but and sucking up to the person that asked me. I'm sorry, I can't name everybody. I'm sorry.
Just say you have lots of favorites.
Yes, he has lots of favorites.
I have so many favorites I can't even begin to say. I love you too, Sterling.
Depends on which personality you ask.
Yep.
Okay, I got one for you. What is your favorite type of wood to saw with?
Believe it or not, go ahead. Is that a
And
two-parter?
what was the first project you ever cut on a scroll saw?
I don't remember the first thing I ever did on a scroll saw, but I found a scroll saw catalog in the mail, and I had never even heard of a scroll saw. And I did a 4-foot tall tiger's head with a jigsaw, but I don't remember the first thing I did with a scroll saw. Probably a picture of Jesus or something because not a lot of people admit it, but when you first get into scroll sawing, a lot of people, I shouldn't say this because a lot of people might do it, but there's, those catalogs that come out. I was cheap. I didn't know any better. I went to the copy place and zoomed in, and that's how I made my first project. I didn't pay for the pattern. I was scum, and I'm wanted in 3 states for it. But my favorite wood to work with is, as far as cutting in general, is aromatic cedar because of the smell and the look. But I generally use birch ply 1/4 inch for typical portraiture.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to look over at the YouTube chat and seeing if there's any more questions for you.
Charles, how long have you been
What
scrolling?
aggravates?
I have, well, scrolling and designing since 1997. When I look at back, I cannot talk today. When I look back at my old designs and my old cuttings, I laugh at them. But yeah, 1997, because I was in a horrible marriage. Yeah, I had to find me time. And I happened to, not to take away, but I happened to notice Ron Norris says, what aggravates you most when selling your patterns? Well, when I'm selling them, there's nothing aggravating. It's when I don't sell them. But seeing people giving them away on other Facebook pages, I mean, a lot of well, no, I don't think I'm being racist here. There's a lot of Middle Eastern groups that don't care about copyrights, and they just hand out patterns to anybody and everybody. So that's what aggravates me the most about that. But I have fun selling them. I mean, that's that.
Okay. I was trying to see if there's anybody else over there asking questions, but it looks like it's just Ron. Let's see. What is your favorite pattern that you designed?
Oh, googly moogly.
Dave Hart asked that.
Oh, right offhand, if you're on Facebook and you go to Charles Deering Scroll Saw Portraits and More, there's a lion that's the profile picture. For the longest time, that was my favorite, right? Because I can't remember all my patterns, and not to brag, but I've done a little over 1,500, so I can't remember them all, but I love the really detailed ones. I mean, I hate myself while I'm cutting them, but once it's done, it's a sense of pride. It's kind of like painting, you know, you hate getting ready for it, but I would have to go with the lion, I guess, or anything Western, you know, related. I have no idea.
Which page did you say that was on, Charles?
Charles Deering Scroll Saw Portraits and More, I believe. It'll have a lion cutting as the profile picture. It's a page, not a group, if that helps any.
Hang on.
Oh, and while you're looking, Sterling is asking a very good question. And people have been telling me this for years. Sterling is asking, your patterns are super detailed and are amazing. Thank you. I mean, no disrespect, and I know you don't. But when are you going to dumb it down for a scroll saw hobbyist? That's a very good question. You're definitely not the first person that's ever asked me that, Sterling. But it's one of those good intentions things that gets put on the back burner because I'm always trying to one-up. Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm always trying to one-up myself, but here lately I've been looking at old patterns and adding the word welcome to them to make them into welcome signs. And that's not necessarily dumbing down. What he means by dumbing down, for those that don't know, that he wants simpler patterns out there. And I would probably sell more if I did that. The only excuse I have is procrastination, and because it's actually something I have to train my mind to do. It's hard to see the detail and not add it when I'm so into realism. But I don't know when I'll do it, but I will do it. I mean, they're on woodenvisions.com and the pattern catalog, there is a simplified pattern section. I will try to add more as I can go, but in my mind, they're simplified, but in other people's, maybe not. I hope that answers your question. I don't know why I'm taking so long. I've spent.
Here's your lion, Charles.
Yes, sir. That is one of my favorite designs. I love detail, as some people probably know.
Wow. That's a lot.
Joseph has a question. Joseph Poindexter, what made you decide to make patterns at an advanced level instead of keeping it simple for everyone? I've heard many times on many pages that your patterns are too intimidating.
To say that reason alone, and I've heard it too, that for that reason alone, why will my dumb butt not simplify my patterns? I can't answer that without saying procrastination, but as far as what made me decide to do detailed patterns is because, and I've said this on many a show, but I mean no disrespect to the designers of that era, but when I started scrolling, I used to draw and I was into detail. I like realism, and there wasn't any of that out there, so that's what inspired adding detail. I used to do it on a computer, and you could tell because it was pixelized. Now I do it on paper, scan it in, color it in, and all that. But there are different strokes for different folks, but I do need to appeal to the middle of the road or beginner people, and that's all on me. I just got to make myself do it. But I hope that answers your question. I apologize for those that want simpler patterns for me and haven't gotten them yet, but I promise I'll get to it. But there are some on the website. Some of them are pretty much just silhouettes with the word welcome under them. I mean, so if you go to newest or simplified or welcome signs, you might find something you like, hopefully. And Carl is asking, where's my glasses? I don't feel as sexy with my glasses on, so I always put contacts on for my shows, or for shows. And since I'm already on the YouTube page, I'll go ahead and read the next question. Sterling Davis says, I would love to see more landscapes and landmarks like the old homesteads and the Cade's Code. Okay, old barns. Let me send you some pics and see what you think you can do. Okay, I do have an ebook. I actually have 14 ebooks, and they're not necessarily simple, but I have one ebook that has 4 or 5 old weathered barns on there. That's because I love doing rustic and Native American and cowboy related stuff. I do have some landscapes, not a whole heck of a lot, but they are detailed. If you're not looking for detail, then I can't help you. But I have a water mill, Glade Creek Mill, I believe it's called. And I believe that's under structures. If you look around under the different categories at woodenvisions.com, plug, you should see almost everything, including and I mean this maturely, the adult. I have even a adult oriented pattern. So if nudity offends you, it's not pornographic yet. If nudity offends you, please don't go to that. But unfortunately, by default, when I am uploading my newest designs, some of them are nudes, and it'll show up in the newest folder. But it's not because I don't want to censor it. I just, since it's not like something like Facebook, I don't want to censor because people want to get an idea of what they're buying. I'm not going to repeat what Carl just said, but I probably will do that, Carl. And Sterling says I'm procrastinating, and I am, because all I really know to do to simplify my patterns is simply delete some of the detail, because to go back and try to find the original source photos or whatever would probably take me forever, if not impossible. But that's all I can think of is altering designs I've already done, and I need to do it. It is procrastinating, and I need to stop procrastinating. I'm sorry. I'll try to stop reading YouTube if you want to ask me some questions.
Well, you're already over there, so it's like just ask Charlie yourself.
There's no question I will not answer, and you will get the truth. If it's family friendly, I'll answer it. Or even if it's not, I'll answer it in code.
Nice. Code.
Come on, y'all, challenge me. Come on. I'll answer anything. Come on.
Charles, you think you might come back to Atlanta next year?
I think I might, because you can't put a price tag on getting to finally meet people you've been talking to for years. The only thing that would slow me down is obviously anxiety, but I hope to have my wife with me next year, which means I can't flirt with Robin Jacobson quite as much. But I hope to be there next year. I can't promise this far ahead. It all depends on money and whether or not my wife will go with me. And Sterling is saying start fresh. Don't try and redo what you've already done. But the reason why I'm considering that, Sterling, is because I've done so many themes and so many versions of different themes. It'd be almost impossible to come out with new stuff. I mean, although it can be done, it's just... I mean, some people have told me all I need to do is, when I'm working on a pattern, stop at a certain point and post that one, and then continue the detail for somebody else. And I could do that, but I do mine on paper, so I'd have to line up the carbon paper and everything right back where it was in order to continue on that pattern. So maybe I'm just not looking forward to the extra work. But I mean, I got nothing. I do need to do simpler patterns. I feel like I'm in trouble when I was supposed to be the guest. I'm kidding. No, I got nothing. I do need to do simpler patterns. But I appreciate y'all who are supporting me out there. But
Well, put like a pin or something in two of the corners and then just fold it down.
yeah, register marks or something. Yeah.
Okay, Katie Dotson asked you, keeping the detail, do you have any smaller patterns?
I don't know that I have any smaller. Depends on how many pieces of paper I use to make the pattern, because generally I usually split a picture into two pieces, so it's 2 sheets of paper, and they're scanned in at 300 dpi, dots per inch on a scanner. But if it's done from a single sheet of paper, that's as small as I go. But I do everything 300 dpi because that's what the catalogs require, and also I do it that large so that if you enlarge or reduce it, it won't distort it. The detail will still be there. Now, if you reduce the size to like an 8x10, a lot of mine aren't 8x10 friendly, and that's another reason I need to do simpler designs. But again, I do have a handful of simple designs on the free patterns and on the simplified patterns folder or category on pattern catalog.
All right, they have no more questions over there at the moment.
All right. Nobody on the panel wants to challenge me?
Who has questions on the panel for Charles? Anyone?
I ain't scared.
I will tell Katie that I have a lot of Charles Darren's patterns, and a lot of them I changed to 8x10 size. And if a detail is too small,
Leave it out.
I just leave that out.
Yeah, and that is...
You can leave out and make an awesome one.
Yeah, and I mean, it is people shouldn't have to determine what detail to leave out, but you have that right, because once you purchase that scroll saw pattern, there's no law saying you have to use every line I put in there. It's been said before, every line is a suggestion, but it doesn't mean you're not a good scroller if you don't want to spend as long on a design. So take out as many pieces as you want and still get the core. And I got to tell myself this too, because I really have to train my brain to do simpler. Which scroll saw do I use? Says Rick Hutchison. I use a Hegner. Luckily, I did not have to pay. Well, no, I did pay for this one. The first scroll saw, I've had almost every scroll saw there is, except for the high dollar ones, but I was taking care of an elderly guy, and he was a big fan of my work. When my scroll saw at the time burned out, he said, find the best one out there and let me know. And he wasn't hurting for money, but me being me, I said, are you sure? Because they're kind of expensive. And at the time, I didn't know about Excalibur, so I told him about Hegner, and next thing I knew, I had an 18-inch one, Hegner scroll saw. And then I found a guy who had a 22-inch Hegner, and I worked out a payment plan with him and was able to get that one. So I sold the 18-inch Hegner. I now have a 22-inch Hegner. And do I actually cut all of my patterns? Heck no, because I would never see daylight, or I wouldn't eat, sleep, and all that. I have close, I think, right around 1,500. Same to you, dog. I have quite a few designs. I mean, the sellability to prove that they can be cut. I think the only way I can prove that mine don't get floaters, at least not that I'm aware of, is time of doing it. And again, that's not to be arrogant. Is after a while, a lot of things become second nature. And they're all cuttable, but there are some that have some very, very thin areas. So if an area is too thin for you, make it wider or thicker, whatever the term would be. But yeah, that's no, I have not cut all of my patterns. I would probably never sleep if I did. Dave Hart is asking, do you have, or do you do any other woodworking or make wood crafts other than scrolling portraits? If you look real early on my channel, Charles During Scroll on YouTube, I did a vase on a scroll saw, and I did a three-dimensional, an actual model of a stagecoach. On the Norm, I don't, but I need to, because I need to broaden my horizons.
You've also made some pins.
Yes, I did pins, but I got kind of burned out on that. And Rick, that's a dang good question, Rick. Rick is asking, the reason why I'm repeating everybody's questions is people that see this show after it's not live, they don't know what's going in that chat out there. I'm just, Lee doesn't have anything to do today because I'm reading all the questions. Rick Hutchison.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back.
Just sit there and relax, baby. Rick Hutchison is asking, how do I decide what to make a pattern of? Oh, and that is such a good question, too, because I don't even know how to say it without sounding loony, which I do anyway. Yes, I'm dogging myself. Get over it. All right. So I see certain pictures, and it almost literally screams out at me, make a pattern out of me. So I have pictures. I have so many gigs of pictures on my computer that I may never use, but anything that if you've been designing for a while, you can actually picture a scroll saw pattern from a photograph. I mean, it's not like you're physically seeing a scroll saw pattern there, but with me being a stickler for detail, I just see something and I fall in love with it, and I cannot wait to make it into a pattern. But now I got to do that with simpler patterns. And Ron Norris says, what do you do for a living besides scrolling? I'm an unemployed sit-down comedian, and on a serious note, I'm on disability for panic attacks. Panic disorder is what it's called. So I'm not really doing anything for a living except for patterns. No question is too personal. I will answer anything anybody asks me. So there are no limits. Hurry, Lee, before somebody else asks something. Hurry.
No, there's no more questions over here right now.
I know. I was waiting for you to dream some up. I can't believe Rick hasn't challenged me.
I got one for you.
He's asking all these mature questions. Go ahead, Carl.
I'm typing it in.
Oh crap.
Oh boy.
Well, I know it could get me into trouble, Rick, but I have this way of sneaking around and getting in trouble, unless it's with my wife, and we won't go into that. My passion is definitely creating patterns, but another thing, Sterling, if you're still watching, that I need to get motivated on is cutting. I haven't done a project video in forever since the Shogun Jimmy Skull Challenge. Varying emotions going on in my life right now. Out of respect for people, it's not because I'm private, but I got to respect their privacy. I can't say what's going on in my personal life. But Carl is asking, what do you enjoy most about making YouTube videos? Well, I enjoy the sharing of what I do, and that's actually, believe it or not, kind of hard to answer, because not all of my YouTube videos are teaching, although I try to teach in some of them. I enjoy teaching because I think, you can't have too many scrollers in the world. I don't really, I do teach how to make designs on paper, but those are on videos that I'm selling on my website. Not to, the question led me there. I wasn't looking for a plug, but I have 6 DVDs that I uploaded to my website that you could just download directly off the website about how to do designs on paper, and each DVD or each video is a different theme. But as far as what I enjoy most about making, it's therapeutic to do the project to begin with, but I like, the answer would have to be sharing and or helping if I can, even if it's in the comment section. And Rick Hutchison says, do you have a gallery to sell the patterns you have cut? The only way I know to say it, Rick, is I suck at selling. I believe a fan of my work is better at selling it than the person who designed it, at least in my case, because I feel like a used car salesman when I'm trying to sell my own work, and people say, well, your work should sell itself. It doesn't. I've tried. I have pieces all over my house and attic gathering dust, and because I can't afford to or don't have the ability to frame them, so they don't look as good as they could all framed up and everything. But that's, no, I don't have them in the gallery because I don't have that. Although I'm
Sterling says I don't have an inside chat, so I can't ask you what I really want to.
Well, I mean, nobody sees this after the show. I don't think anybody. It's up to you, Lee. If whatever he wants to ask, I'll try to answer it in code if it's not too family friendly.
I don't want my scholars chat to get blocked again.
Yeah, I have. I will tell people that because I'm open-minded and because I'm an artist, there's pretty much no picture I won't make a pattern out of. But it's because it's not for me to decide what's ethical and what's not. I haven't run into anything yet that I wouldn't do a pattern of. I'm not thrilled about every one I do, but I'm 5'11", Joseph Poindexter. What is it I should have on my webpage, Rick? Because I've moved
Gallery.
On. Oh, I got to get that done too. That's a bunch of photographs to take.
I think Florence asked you a question on the inside.
I'm sorry, I'm on the YouTube page. Go ahead.
Says, how do you know what to keep out of the pattern?
That's hard to answer. Wow. Because okay, let's say you're doing an animal and you could see almost every individual hair, or when you're doing a scroll saw pattern, you're actually doing the shadows for the most part, like the dark areas between hairs. You're not actually drawing physical hairs. So what to leave out is a lot of those individual hairs. Wow. I can't believe that simple of a question is so hard to answer. Yeah, it's just because there's I have some serious overkill on the hair detail of people and animals. And on other ones, I leave some of it out. So I guess you could call that simplified. But I don't really have a formula as to what I decide to leave out. Sometimes certain shadows look, the word I use is translate. They don't translate well from a picture or photograph onto a scroll saw pattern. And Rick is asking, how do I charge for special request patterns? Special request patterns if somebody wants me to make a pattern from their photograph, I used to charge 20 and I got business more often, but other scroll sawyers and artists were telling me I wasn't charging enough for the time it took to do it. So I've raised that to 50, and I'm sorry if that eliminates anybody, but I rarely go over 50 unless it's really, really, really detailed. And it's also hard when the customer says, try not to add too much detail, because there again, I'm not good at seeing it, not adding it. But the same goes if you have somebody that has passed on and you can't get a newer photograph of them. I work with what I see. So just know that the quality of that pattern is going to be based on the quality of the photograph. I will do the best I can do. There have been 1 or 2 patterns out there I couldn't do because the shadows were just too off and it didn't really look like the person. Rick Hutchinson, my
Rick
comment.
said
Go ahead.
was you should have a gallery to sell the things you cut as they are. Is there anything?
I agree. I'm not good at selling myself, so I sound like I'm trying to be funny, but I really do need an agent or a representative to sell for me, and I just give a agreed on percentage to them, and I know that gives them all the work, but I really truly think sincerely that some people have the ability to sell, some don't. Some will say your work sells itself, but you have to have somebody behind it, and I firmly believe a fan of your work is more likely to get your work sold than you selling it yourself, at least in my case, because I guess I come across too desperate for the money.
Sterling asked you, or he actually made a comment, not asked you. He said, I have tried doing patterns, and all mine have floaters. I commend you, buddy. You are the pattern king.
Thank you very much, Sterling. That means quite a bit. It really is just practice. It sounds so cliche to say it, but after a while, everything will become second nature when it comes to making patterns. I can't make a pattern on a computer to save my life. But hello, Miter Mike. Speaking of Miter Mike, he's a relatively new scroll sawyer, and that guy he started dangerous. He started with some of my designs, and he's just blowing them out of the water. And we got Hard Nail Media watching, Steve Nealon, the guy I mentioned earlier, who does my website. Thank y'all for watching. I'm sitting here taking over to Lee. Lee, if you want to go to lunch or something, I can just. Nugget.
Sure, I'll just step away. You take over. How about that?
I'm sorry. Thank you for the compliment, Sterling. I don't. All I know to say is practice makes perfect. You'll eventually know how to avoid those floaters. And sometimes some of my patterns have intentional floaters, and you'll know what that means if you see any of my patterns that have intentional floaters. You just save the waste piece around that floater or those floaters, and put them into place like a puzzle, and put glue on the pieces you want to keep. And that way, when all of it's glued, you take that waste piece back out, and everything's where it should be. And the most times I do that is with eyes or light reflections in eyes or stars on a United States flag. God, that chat's going a lot quicker, so it's on you now. Jamie Page is watching.
Jamie, the Page Master.
Appreciate all my Hard Nail Media. These are a lot of Hard Nail Media members that are showing up in the chat now.
Joseph Poindexter has a question. What have you not done yet that you want to do scroll saw wise?
It's ironic that I say this because I always do things so large, but I've never done a completely life-size project. I did do a 5-foot tall C-3PO, which you can see on my channel. It's called something to do with Star Wars. C-3PO and R2-D2 standing next to each other. It's 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide. But that's something I haven't done, and I would like to do more adult themed, but way back when I first started doing adult themed designs, there were a lot of battles, but people thought it was inappropriate. But and I can't say this sincerely enough. There's no way to prove it. I mean, anybody that knows me on the outside, yes, I can be a bit of a pervert, but a good artist will separate no matter what their personal life is like, from art. And without getting into too much graphic detail, visually to me, a woman's body is much more appealing than a man's. It's not to say I won't do a man's body for somebody that's requesting it, but okay, a curve is more pleasing to the eye visually and psychologically than more firm lines. I don't know how to explain I think y'all know, but the difference between a male and a female body wise, nothing to do with sexual preference. It's just visually a woman is more pleasing to look at. And I try to keep them all tasteful. I can't promise that will be the case for the rest of my life, but because I'm trying to cater to all crowds, but I'm not making it a point to go X-rated, but I will do private patterns that way. But I've done I'm trying to keep this family friendly. I did do a custom pattern for, oh wow, the rumors that could start here. I did do a custom pattern from a photograph that's in a lifestyle I don't particularly follow, but it's not for me to judge. I'll just say that. But I didn't judge. I just gave him a price and did the pattern, and then the rest, it was done. There's pretty much nothing I won't do. No, I don't do private dances because I look white when I dance.
Jamie said he's doing one of your patterns at the moment, which means he hates you for the next 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, I saw that right before the show. He's working on one of my zombie pictures. He's one of those people, and he's a perfect example of what I say when I'm working on one of my own pieces that's detailed. Okay, in my case, I hate myself for all the detail while I'm doing it, but when you're done, there's that sense of pride, and I think that's why Jamie keeps torturing himself along with Miter Mike. And Miter Mike said it best, a curve is better than a rock. There's just some things that are more pleasing to the eye. That goes back to the last topic. Supply and demand is another good answer for Ron Norris, but I don't really have a demand because I don't sell much, because I don't get out much, and people hate it when I talk about anxiety so much, but that I have to, because that structure is a way I do a lot of things in my life. I don't get out much because of that, and I haven't been motivated to sit at the scroll saw for a while because of personal life crap. But Jerry Hughes says he's doing several Game of Thrones characters in their Insanity pieces. I do have a bunch of Game of Thrones characters for sale, and I think he's referring to my designs. I think he's one of my customers. Sorry, Jerry, for not remembering, but yeah, I try to cover every theme. Rick Hutchison asked a very, very good question. If you have a blowout on a pattern, I think what he means is a cutting. If you have a blowout, do you try to repair it or start over again? For that reason, Rick, I will start with the face if it's a person or an animal. Because if you blow out an eyeball, there's no need to continue. But, and Jamie can attest to this, if it's something like the way certain hairs look in the body or the hair on the head of a person, you can get away with certain blowouts, which is basically breaking fragile areas. It depends on what breaks as to whether or not you need to mess with repairing it. Sometimes you can just use your blade to clean up where it broke off so it doesn't look jagged, but it depends on the piece as to whether or not I will repair it or start over again. And Jerry is the one who bought the Game of Thrones. I know you want Christmas items, Miter Mike. The most I can think of is trying to make ornaments out of pretty much anything, but I was telling Lee before the show earlier, I am terrible at doing so far. I'm terrible at doing seasonal because there are so many things that have already been done, and it is part of that battle is trying to do simplified things. I know it can be done. I just got to do it. I can't say that enough throughout this whole show, but I do need to do Christmas things. I have time to do them, but I think the most I can think of is ornament designs, and even then, I got to try not to step on anybody's toes. I mean, everybody's different, but sometimes even the shape of the ornament can step on somebody else's toes, even though legally it's not wrong. It's sometimes, I don't know, but I think ornaments is where I'll lead. I may try to do other cartoony type things, but I'll look, and I'm not able to keep up with the chat. So Lee, you actually get to ask questions on your own show. It's cool.
Yeah, Sterling said start now for next Christmas. You'll be done in time.
Absolutely. And thank you for Javi being out there, Dave Gatton. Javier's woodshop is Javier Ensueda. He's also a Harnell Media member. or what do we call it? Media
Makers Media Network.
Makers Media Network. Thank you. I can't believe I had to have somebody else. Sorry, Javi and Steve and Jamie. No, there's a group of us, and if you didn't see my show, and this isn't to plug my show, the Makers Media Network is not to make ourselves big. It's to promote each other, it's to network with each other, to get help with either intros, music, and in Javi's case, vector design, if you need help with stuff like that. And it's not to be a clique. And I ended my last show with this. We're not a clique. We're not above everybody else. We encourage more people to come on board. You can go to harnellmedia.com or makersmedia network.com. I believe that's still under construction, but it could still probably answer your questions.
Rick asked, what kind of blade do you use, and what's your favorite? What size do you use, and what's your favorite?
And why?
And why?
Dave Gatton, good God. Anyway, I use because most of my work is large. I use number 3 and number 5 Flying Dutchman spirals, and the reason why I stick to Flying Dutchman is because I stick with what I know. I fear change, and I've tried using the straight blades, flat blades, whatever you want to call them. That was a nightmare. I figured if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, and I'm very loyal to a customer to a provider. So that's why I like Flying Dutchman, and spiral is all I've ever used except for the one live show I did the flat blade, and that was laughable. I cannot discuss the Russ thing publicly out of respect for Russ.
Yeah, moving on.
I know a couple of those people are doing it to be facetious, but I agree, Sterling. From what I've heard, Pegasus blades are very good blades. I've never used them myself, but from what I hear from other people who do use them, they're very good. And Dave Gatton, like he said on my show, hates my background because he liked the old barnwood looking thing I had there. But I'm in the spirit of Halloween. But after Halloween, I should have either another wooden one or the same old wooden one. I'm sorry, Dave, that I don't meet your expectations. Yeah, and yes, I know he hates my background. Does anybody in the panel want to? Y'all are welcome to challenge me. If there's something you don't think I'll answer it. But I mean, the show isn't about challenging me. But there's no question I won't answer.
Ever bite your toenails?
I'm looking on.
No, I can't bend that far. I got too much of a belly, and I think that's gross as hell. Or heck, sorry if I offended any lady men or whatever.
You're right. You will answer anything.
I've never bitten my toenails. I can't imagine people biting their toenails. That's making a serious effort.
Okay. Back to the topic, huh?
JP challenges you to a scroll off. He said you picked the pattern.
Oh, poop. Well, okay, Jamie, in all due respect, if we pick the pattern, we're both going to do it, and it's going to look the same because we both scroll, and we both pretty much keep it on the line, so I don't know how that would be a challenge. Unless you're talking about how quickly it gets done because you're in scrolling mode right now, and I'm not. And Javi is challenging me for the 30-day Impossible November challenge, which basically a project a day for 30 days for the month of November. That's what Javier Onsueda is doing.
Dave Gatton says, "Love you, Charles, but I hate your background."
I love you too, Dave, and I hate that you haven't given me a Gatton CNC. I'll change the background for you for Gatton CNC.
Rick Hutchinson wants to know, have you ever drawn a pattern you would not try to cut?
I have one that is the Sons of Anarchy cast. It took me almost a week to design. I wouldn't say I wouldn't cut it, but there's some things I won't cut unless they're ordered because that's just too much work. And there again, that's on me. but I'm trying to figure out what might or might means when he said, nope, it will look different. But, and Jamie is saying, you got 50 years experience, though. I'm a newbie. I actually only have about, whatever, 97 till now is 30 years, something like that. Is that 30 years? Don't make me do math in public. Okay. Hobby is going to challenge me. You scroll, I'll CNC, and we'll make 20 identical patterns. Kiss my butt, Hobby. I can't keep up with the CNC. Yes, I can, but it depends on the complexity because the CNC doesn't get tired. People do. What show am I watching? You're watching Scroller's Chat, episode 14. Charles Deering. Dave is confused. When making patterns of famous people, musicians, is there a concern of licensing issues? And I purposely read that out loud because I'm admitting that I'm skating the line when I do that. There are some that will say, well, if it's considered fan art, that it's okay to do it. And it's not necessarily true. You can run into copyright issues. I am risking myself doing it, so I cannot condone doing it. I just do it mainly because I know some people want their designs, and I like contributing to the community. So that's the only real answer I can give. I cannot say it's 100% legal, this and that. I think it would depend on the celebrity, whether or not they're dead, whether or not there's a what's the technical term for estate? You know, whoever owns the estate of whoever, somebody that's passed on. There are certain, but Lee Nyden and I both have talked about 2 different websites where you can get copyright-free or royalty-free photographs, but that has nothing to do with celebrities because you won't find those. But so I cannot ethically answer that question.
Actually,
in a positive light.
I found John Wayne on there, actually.
Okay,
Well,
Sterling. Sterling wants to know: are you going to have Santa Claus or Jesus as a backdrop for Christmas?
Okay, the ones I order come from China, so if I can get them here in time, yes. They aren't that expensive. So yeah, I like to keep a theme going on behind me, but I mean, I know that's not related to everything, but I did say ask everything, so I will be looking into Christmas ones for the backdrop. Where's his broom? Where's my broom? Or that, I don't know if that chat involves me or not, but I don't drink, so I don't know if that's about me either. A hobby is playing a drinking game. Take a drink when they say scroll. Scroll, 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 scroll. Bunch of drunk people in the chat tonight. Charles needs a new hat.
Chris McConza pattern.
Yeah, Charles
Happy
needs
Christmas Kwanzaa pattern.
Happy Christmas Kwanzaa, or what is the one, the Festivus for the rest of us from Seinfeld. I actually have one of your caps, Dave. It's in the house. I know right where it is, but this one wicks flat, and I've been doing a lot of outdoor work today. But yes, Dave, I already have one of your caps, but not one of your T-shirts, I don't think. No, I think I have one. I don't know. Anyway, no, I'm not going to make you a Happy Christmas Kwanzaa pattern because even if you're not religious, you know, and this is a whole nother topic, but these people that, you know, that refuse, and I know Hobby is not saying this, but those people that refuse to say Merry Christmas, I mean, get over yourself. Life's too short to squabble over little things. And thank you, Dave Gatton. I'll assume you're being serious. And no, I don't still have my CNC, Joseph. Once I finally figured out the CNC itself, the programming was way above my head, so I sold it because I was a broke butt, needed the money. And Ron Norris says he'll mail me a Roll Tide hat. I'll wear it for your sake, but I'm a Longhorn fan and a Cowboys fan. But thank you. I always appreciate gifts, but I mean, I'm not going to ask people for them.
Hey,
Sterling,
Chuck,
yo.
I got a pattern idea for you.
All right.
A couple of Pinewood Derby cars going down a track.
Like actual Pinewood Derby cars, or a picture of Pinewood Derby cars going down a track?
Well, pictures, you know, like a silhouette cutting of Pinewood Derby cars going down the track. Like at the Cub Scout pack meeting.
That's possible.
I think it'd be pretty cool looking.
Oh, and Rick Hudson's talking about Cowboys. You mean cow ropers. Cowboys is the term given to guys who rope cows or handled cattle. They used to be called pig boys until they got into cattle, and we won't go any further on that because I know a bunch of perverts in the chat will jump on that one.
Probably.
I mean, if I try to say I'm a cow man, that sounds pretty stupid. So I'm just going to go with what I am. Yeah, I appreciate all these questions. It's kind of cool when things are active like that. It's probably one of the easiest shows Lee's had to do because I have this habit of taking over, and I'd never mean to. It just happens. I swear, Lee. I don't have an agenda about taking over your show. Cows with guns. Jamie says he used to be a pig boy until he left his ex. Lee, I'll leave it up to you what you want to read out of the chat. I don't want to read everything.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. So,
who wouldn't want to be a cowboy? By God.
What Brian say? If they can't stand, I can't watch.
I'm loving some of the questions I got because they were good questions. I hope I answered everybody's questions to the extent that they got the information they wanted. And real quickly on the topic of scrolling, and I think Lee can back me up on this, and Rick, I can't remember who all's on the panel because I'm not on that page, and Donna. When it comes, no, I'm not doing Brokeback Cowboys. Anyway. You don't have to behave, Katie. I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying, Lee? Oh.
About scrolling.
Yeah, once you learn to use the scroll saw and even closely keep it on the line, the rest is just patience. That is why, because not necessarily everybody can't do my patterns, as most people don't want to spend that much time on a single project. So that's why I need to add the simpler ones. My shows are not Mondays. Dave again. What scroll saw do you have? Wow. I've already answered it, Jamie, but I will answer. I have a 22-inch Hegner is what I have. The only complaint I have about that saw is the table is way too small. It's like 9 1/4 wide by 17 inches front to back. So whenever I can afford it, I'm going to get a giant piece of Lexan that won't flex, and I'll have that as more table surface.
Rick Hutchinson's asking if you could have any scroll saw, what would you like to have to cut with?
Well, I like my Hegner, but I would love to try out the largest Excalibur they make that's new and the newest Seiko. I would love to try those, but they have to offer it because I can't afford to buy one. And that's not a pity party, it's just the truth. But
well,
yeah.
I got the smaller Excalibur. If you want to come over, you can try it.
Well, dang, that means I have to travel. I'm just kidding. I'd love to try it, but I mean, I like the fact that the newer Excaliburs and the Seiko, I believe, have the tilting head instead of the tilting table. I'd love to try those too.
I love the tilting head.
Yeah, and I would. Yeah, those are the two saws I haven't gotten to try that I would love to try. All the ones. I had a DeWalt 788 for like a day, but I didn't need it because I already had a scroll saw, so I went ahead and sold it. But I've had almost all the lower end saws, and some of them are laughable, but I don't want to slam any companies out there unless somebody asks me, what is your opinion of such and such a saw? Yeah, I hope that answered Rick's question.
Mike wants to know, would you ever think about changing to a DeWalt?
If my house burned up and my Hegner melted, I would consider it. I would have no choice really, but even then you gotta, and it always sounds like I'm crying about money and anxiety, but you know, there's a money issue, whatever I could get with the money I had. No, because I have to advertise myself on my scroll saw. Sorry, Jamie. Sorry, Dave. I tried before on my old scroll saw to have one of my Wooden Vision stickers on my table, and it just got in the way. When am I going to do a CNC show? That'll probably be never, Dave, unless the miracle happens where I actually learn to use one. But in order to use one, I'd have to have one sent by Dave Gatton. and then I might consider a CNC show, but it wouldn't be teaching. It would be letting other people teach each other.
Well, I'll second that. Send you a CNC.
Javi said, I bought a Hegner from eBay, and it turned out to be a Haggis scroll saw, quite messy and didn't cut very well.
I've never even heard of that, and I think he's being facetious. I could be wrong. And Mike is saying he could help me. He could help me about that. I guess he means a DeWalt. I don't know, but I'm pretty much stuck on my Hegner unless something happens to it. I just need to get a piece of Lexan that can make the table surface bigger. Just double-sided tape on it, and that suggestion was given to me by, I believe, Russ Clarity, because I was trying to think how can I construct a table to be at the same height as the scroll saw table that's already there, and then Russ said get double-sided tape and adhere a large Lexan that doesn't flex, and boom. But I also have roller stands and a roller table for those pieces that are real huge that overhang the saw. Oh, burning down the house? No, I don't need any help burning down my house. I'll probably end up doing it myself. But thanks for offering. I like the flow of questions. All right, Lee.
I think Florence was asking you some questions on the inside chat, but I wasn't really paying attention. Now I see it. She said,
I was really paying attention.
Hearing patterns. What about, are you asking about beers or bears, Florence?
Bears, because she wrote to me the other day and I never got back to her.
Speaking of bears,
don't. I know where Carl's.
Why?
I know where Carl's going with the bear thing. Because he has a nickname for me since I had all that overhang cut off.
Go ahead and say it.
I can't. It's a family show, I think. What was the first question before the bears?
She said,
about
Thanksgiving.
Is if you make a video.
Oh, yeah. She's wanting me to make a video of how to draw a bear, basically like I did the DVDs that are downloadable now from my website, woodenvisions.com. Anyway,
or
I
just
will
video YouTube thing, just something, or like the one you did live. Remember that one time you did the baby live when you drew the baby?
Yeah, I will consider it. Now, when it comes to that and different things that I've done or not done, and Florence, I think deep down you'll understand this. When I get a lot of people asking me to do one theme and only one or two asking for another one, the next one most people have been asking for was landscapes. So I may have to do that as a pay for DVD. Yeah. And, but I also got to realize, not everybody wants to do detail. But regarding Thanksgiving, I released 2 today. They're not, they are detailed. But I released a turkey today with the words happy above it and Thanksgiving below it, and one that says welcome below it. I mean, as far as Thanksgiving, that's all I have is a turkey. But it's one Donna has cut before, and it's very detailed. And I'm sorry. Jamie is saying, it's my understanding you have done some wood turning. Will you be doing some more in the future? I might, Jamie. I felt like I reached the edge of my abilities and I kind of missed scrolling. I'm not saying I should go past my abilities. I need to have confidence to try newer things. But I fell back in love with my scroll saw and designing, and that's why I haven't done it yet. So I might do something lathe eventually. Rick Hutchison, I saw one where the scroll saw table was inset in a large workbench table. I would try that, Rick. That's what I was trying to think of, but I'm not good at construction in any way, shape, or form. So for me, nothing would line up, and it sounds silly. But yeah, if I could find somebody that could do that for me, I would most definitely do that. But I think the Lexan might work just as well. Thanks for watching, Ron. Tommy G Workshop. Mike mentions, I guess that means he's in here. If he is, howdy. Good night, Ron. Back to you, Lee.
All right. Well, we've gone past our time of 9:30.
I wanted
So-
to talk all night, man.
You want to keep going for all night?
As long as they can put up with me. You got. Well, no, that makes me sound arrogant. Just if you want to continue the show, you can. If you don't want to, I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, actually, I have to end it because I have to get ready for work pretty soon.
Oh, you people with jobs. I'm kidding. That was a dig on myself.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came in on the YouTube chat tonight and asked questions to Charles and to the panel. I want to thank Darren, of course.
Thank you.
Florence
Thank you.
Leedy, buddy. Sorry, Florence Leedy. Carl Taylor and Rick Hutchinson. Thank you guys for being on the panel tonight. And thank you guys again over there in the YouTube chat. And we'll see you next show. Click on.
Click on. Thank y'all for watching.
Click on.